Young Person's Guide to King Crimson is a double LP compilation released in 1975 covering the 69 to 74 era. But make no mistake, this is not the typical run-of-the-mill greatest hits or best-of album where the most famous songs are thrown in, right, just to save you the trouble of listening or buying the original albums. This one is meticulous craftsmanship. It responds to an elaborate and well-conceived plan by Robert Fripp that doesn't fail to amaze you all the way through its four sides. I must say it holds a special place in my heart, for it was the first vinyl my mum bought me when I was in my teens, and that moment has lived with me ever since. Now to the album. The amazing and dreamlike cover art was created by the Scottish artist Fergus Cole. It is a piece of beauty. The front is called the Landscape Player and the back simply Earth. The inside features the track list on the left and most importantly which album or single each of the songs came from, and on the right we are provided with miniature reproduction of King Crimson's albums from that period. Included as part of the package was a booklet filled with photographs detailing the history and important events in the band's history. It was compiled by Robert Fripp himself from his personal collection. The booklet only is worth the price of admission. When the album came out, there was absolutely no internet, so it stood out as a fundamental source of information back in the day. This copy here is the 1980 Spanish reissue on the Polydor label. Technical details, in case you are interested, are on the left side of your screen. It is cut quite hot with a good and powerful low end without missing out on tonality. It has been my go-to copies for decades. Side A kicks off with Epitaph, taken from their debut album. And even though that was not the case in the court, right, it proves to be a great opening piece. The crescendo, right at the beginning, sets the mood for things to come. Next up is Cadence in Cascade, taken from the Wake of Poseidon. It is almost identical to our original release, but for the fact that it fades out a bit earlier to pave the way to the powerful and rocking Ladies of the Road, featuring a haunting and goose-bumping saxophone solo by the great Mel Collins, right? Coupled with amazing guitar licks by Fripp himself. The only track from the Islands album. First side closes with the then unreleased version of I Talk to the Wind, sung by Judy Dybel. The song had previously been recorded for the Giles and Fripp album before they joined King Crimson. A very subtle move. Side C is dedicated in its entirety to Red and represented by two pieces from the album. The title track, full of energy and crunchy guitars, and Starless, my favorite King Crimson song, bar none. The atmosphere and the mood are dreamy and seductive in a captivating way, and the guitar crescendo and the saxophones, well, otherworldly. The first three tracks on side C may be the most accessible King Crimson. We got The Night Watch from Starless and Bible Black, Book of Saturday from Lark's Towns in Aspic, and Peace, a theme from In the Wake of Poseidon. But Fripp, being Fripp, wouldn't leave it at that. He then went for the diabolical cat food, again from Poseidon, where Keith Tippett's piano chords sounded like a meowing and whining stray cat. Next up is the single version of Groom, reason enough to spring for this compilation. And Fripp rounded things up with the final crescendo of Lark's Towns in Aspic Part 1. Sublime. A shortened version of Moonchild from the debut album opens side D. And to be perfectly honest, thank God for that. Right? I've always found the ensuing instrumental improvisation boring and meaningless. But that's me. On the same vein is Trio from Starless and Bible Black. But the compilation concludes as the debut album with the grandiose In the Court of the Crimson King. Nothing short of perfection.
And now for something completely different.
In the early 90s, my record player called it a day. This was CD days, and spare pieces were really hard to find, and internet was still something I heard of. Vinyl had been completely removed from record shops, and digital had taken its place. I couldn't afford a decent turntable, a new one at the time, so reluctantly I went for a CD player. Those early CDs didn't sound too bad, right, so for quite some time things looked bright. However, not all vinyl albums had been digitally released, and unfortunately King Crimson's Guide was one of them, or so I thought at the time. Let's fast forward now to the turn of the century. I had a slow ADSL connection in my computer, which at the time allowed me to read web pages, to send emails, to download pictures at a snail's pace, but not much else. This was before eBay and Discogs and other sites, right? One day I came across a site dedicated to prog rock written by a George Strostin. He there mentioned a Japan-released CD copy of the King Crimson's Guide for the Japanese market. I jumped off my feet and committed myself to find one, but to no avail. Luckily, there was a site called PopSite, still in use. With a sort of wish list where you could post kind of a request for an item and how much you'd be willing to pay for it. I had no answer for months, but one day, out of the blue, I got an email from a German guy who had 2 copies, his and his brother's. As his brother was a vinyl-only guy, he said he wouldn't mind parting with his, as long as he would get his investment back, 80 euros he paid in Japan. That was a huge amount of money at the time, but it was a once in a lifetime, so I agreed. However, he asked me to post the money in cash. It smelled fishy, but I went through it. Something I never do in these advanced years, which you can well understand. For a week, I was on tenterhooks. But one Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. And here it is, the only digital version of the item. Housed in a fat box, as you can see, right? The included booklet, let's see if it's this one, yes, reproduces the original cover art in full detail. A piece of beauty, offering the track list, King Crimson album covers to the date, the gig lists, and the most important events in the band's history. I still wonder how they managed to squeeze in all that information. But if that's not enough, there's a second booklet with Japanese and English lyrics. Well, this is the Japanese, obviously, because I can't understand the word, and this is the English, right? And also a sheet paper showing King Crimson's incarnation up to that point. Besides, you don't get the typical Japanese mastering with boosted highs and hardly any low end. The CDs sound smooth, warm, but with great power and dynamics. Time went by, and I eventually purchased a new turntable, a good one, together with new gear, preamp, amplifiers, loudspeakers, the whole lot. I miss vinyl so much. I then started upgrading my old copies, right? Vinyl prices at the time, 2005 or so, were still very affordable. Of course, I wanted a new copy of the King Crimson Sky, but lack of consistent information on my part made me waste time and money. I went through several copies that were either overgraded or thin sounding. The US EG from 1986, if memory serves, and early Japanese pressing, and some others I keep no recollection of. I've sold them over the years. It became frustrating and time-consuming, so I put an end to that. No more copies till I could spring for the real thing. A near mint UK original first pressing on the orange and blue island label. I liked it out only a few months ago. Both inner record sleeves are black, not really polyline. They have the pink island label at the bottom of both sides, and of course it comes with a 20-page booklet. All right. On the sleeve spine, the compilation is called The Young Person's Guide to King Crimson, while the labels read A Young Person's Guide to King Crimson. The sound of this album is superb, and right there. One of my best sounding albums. Powerful, with great instrument separation, details to spare, thunderous bottom end, just as it must be. This is the only King Crimson album mastered by no other than Harry Moss, the Beatles' cutting engineer. And this copy here is surely the end of the road. Thanks for watching and listening. Please subscribe, but most importantly, leave comments, suggestions, opinions in the comment box below. I'll soon be back with more vinyl reviews and more stories, I promise. Bye for now.